Hello, I've been using this 12 by 12 Atuk Kanguk tent for a couple years now. It can be a bit tricky to set up the first time, so it's nice and even, so I thought I'd give you a rundown on how I do it. So what's worked for me to get this tent set up fairly quick and easy is I built a little string gauge where I can use it to measure my center pole that I have to cut and also to accurately place my 5 corner stakes for the tent. To make this gauge, you're going to need two measurements. You're going to need the measurement between two of the corner stakes, and you're going to need the measurement from the very center of the tent to a corner stake. The easiest way to get the measurement between the stakes is to actually lay your tent out and stake out two adjacent corners, and then just measure this. The distance from the very center point of your tent to one of the corner stakes is difficult to measure, but it's pretty easy to do the math and figure it out. For simplification, the formula shown there is H, which is your tent stake distance divided by 1.176. So for my particular tent, which is the 12 by 12, I got measurements of 242 centimeters between the stakes, and then calculated the distance from the center point to a stake at 206 centimeters. So with those measurements, get yourself a piece of rope, tie a loop in one end, then measure from that first loop that distance from the center points to a stake, which is H, in my case was 206 centimeters. And then I tie a knot at 8 feet or 244 centimeters from that end loop, and that knot allows me to measure my center pole for the tent when I'm in the field. The last thing to do is measure from that center loop a distance of X, or the spacing between your two stakes. In my case was 242 centimeters, and tie a loop on that end as well. So when you found a good spot to set up your tent, you're going to put a stake at the very center point of where you want your tent to go. The next thing you're going to want to do is determine where you want your door to be at. That's where you're going to pound your first corner stake. So to get the exact location of your first corner pin, you're going to use the unmarked leg of your string gauge, and you're going to hook the end loop of that on your center stake, pull it tight, and that middle loop will be where you put your first corner stake. You can find the position of your next corner stake by putting the end loop on the first corner stake and using the middle loop again to find your next stake by pulling both legs tight. From there, you just work your way around the pentagon now until you've driven all 5 corner stakes. With your 5 corner pins in place, you can remove your center pin and your gauge and put it out of the way. And then you can bring your tent over and hook your stake loops to the 5 corner stakes. So next, you're going to want to put your center pole in place. The stakes that are in the corners will hold the center pole vertical. You're going to guy out your corners, guy out the walls, and then go around it once and do any minor adjustments to get the walls nice and taut. So here's a little video setup of me putting the tent together. So first thing I'm going to do here is pound my center stake. And I'll get my gauge out, and I'll use that unmarked portion of the gauge to pound my first corner pin, and then I use the gauge to work around the tent and get all 5 corner pins in. Fold your tent over by where the corner pins are driven. And hook your door where you want it. And then work your way around the tent and hook all the stake loops onto the stakes. Next, you're going to open your door so you can get your center pole in. You get a guy out the corners.
Open your tent!
I work across the tent. It helps to keep the thing from getting lopsided. And you're gonna guy out the walls. And you're gonna go around, just do any minor adjustments and tighten up your guys to make the tent nice and and from here the setup is done. If you're gonna install your stove and run your stove pipe up to the stove jack. Show you a look inside the tent when it's all set up.
You've been drinking so much water lately. That's a good habit. Good job, buddy. Finish your tea.
Sure. Come on, Dottie. Come sit in your chair. Ooh. Watch the strings. Are you okay?
No, I'm okay. Action! Daddy? Just sitting in here. Just sitting in here. Can you put some rocks on?
So for takedown of the tent, just go in the reverse order. Pull all your guy stakes. Take out your center pole. Zip up your door. And then start removing your corner stakes of the tent. I leave two adjacent stakes on one side. It just helps fold it up if there's only one person there. get down to the last few bolts here, you're going to take out those 2 remaining corner stakes and hold the tent up. And that's really all there is to it.
Close the door, Dottie.
I should mention what I'm using for stakes. I use an 8-inch galvanized steel spike with a washer on it and a little bit of surveyor tape. That surveyor tape's just there so I don't lose them. They're tough and they're cheap. They hold up much better than any tent peg I've ever used. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps somebody out there. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks.
Hi guys, thanks for watching.